Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're so glad you're here. We are kicking off our first online event and are so excited to be finally arrived at this place together. Our topic this evening is finding space for a spark of joy when life feels overwhelming. And both of us have been walking through a lot of things in the last month or so, and we felt like, given our theme of awe and wonder in nature, thought it would be really neat to be able to share how to find that spark of joy. Often, I think for both of us, it is tied to nature, and so it felt like an appropriate topic. Just a quick introduction. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Mariah, and we're your co-founders of Parallel Journeys.
Yes, and if you don't know, a lot of you may be new to the channel. Just a little backstory about who we are and how we got started. We met several years ago on a trip during COVID together, and it was just kismet. We were supposed to meet each other. It was a really special experience, and we clicked right away. Knew we were going to be the dearest of friends, and then quickly best friends. And then over the years have just walked through many journeys together, and we've seen and discovered through those years that often our lessons have been in parallel. And so we chose the name Parallel Journeys for that very reason, because we believe that this community provides a space for people to come and walk alongside others and not feel alone in the journey of life. And so that's why we're here tonight. We're so excited to kick off this conversation and get things started. So we want to make sure tonight that, like, we're not trying to lecture. We're not trying to say this is the only way to do things. We want to open up a pathway of conversation, like a conduit almost, of being able to share our own experiences. But we want, whether you're live or whether you're going to be watching in the replay, we want that community engagement. We want to know what you're walking through. We want to come alongside you as well. So this is not a lecture, it's just a conversation, and we want to invite you into that space this evening. So
I couldn't have said it better.
Nice.
It's so good. I think we should start by talking about a moment recently where we felt overwhelmed. And
it won't be hard in this one.
I know. Actually, you've really been, there's and moments you've been going through. You want to share one, and we can just start
one.
there?
Yeah. I think I touched, the house is like the most recent one. I've been in the process of selling our house and moving into a new house, and overwhelmed is kind of like an understatement when it comes to packing and keeping up with life and keeping up with kids and their schedules, and just it felt very overwhelming. That's just to say the least. And so,
well, and it's packing and it's living in temp housing for a bit. So like life is still not settled.
Life is not settled. We're in an Airbnb for a month in between the selling of our house and then moving into the new house. And it's just the way the timing worked out, and it's fine. Everything works out for a reason. And there's been so many moments of gratitude throughout that process. But a lot of really just unexpected things that hit, where it was like, okay, this is how we're handling it, and then it was just completely derailed. And then it was like back to square one, and we're trying to figure out how to make sure that the sale closes. And of all things, we had a sewer issue that popped up. And it's like the nightmare of all nightmares. Nobody wants to hear that in an inspection report. And I was so grateful that we found it, because I don't want to pass those issues on to someone else. But it ended up pretty severely dipping into the total profit that we ended up getting for the house. But again, it's, everything works out. But it was just a very stressful, getting to closing was very stressful. And so, that was probably my biggest overwhelming in the last month. What about you?
Well, it's interesting. I think where I have felt overwhelmed has honestly been more work related. And I think there's a lot going on, and sometimes I find it overwhelming just being single, managing a house, working 2 jobs essentially because I'm so excited to be launching Parallel Journeys, but
Yes.
we're new and we're early on.
Absolutely.
And we're still figuring things out, and we're in it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's fun and exciting, but it's not stress-free all the
Right.
time.
Exactly.
And then I work a part-time job doing recruiting work that I've done for 20 years. So there's a lot of elements of that feel really familiar and comfortable, but it's long hours because I'm trying to condense the time I'm doing. It's exhausting. It's a little monotonous, and there's more pressure there because, well, we've given ourselves a lot of grace to navigate this as it works for us. But when you've got deadlines and hiring managers you're answering to, and multiple team members all working together, I mean, there's just deadlines you've got to reach, and more pressure. And I think on top of that, it's like springtime, so spring cleaning is on my brain, and tax season.
Yes.
And I think it's, for me, it's just the laundry list of responsible things as an adult, and silly things. Well, maybe they're not so silly, but I love to look out my windows. And right now when I'm looking out them, I keep going, wow, I really need to get my windows cleaned. And it's like, oh yeah, okay, maybe tomorrow I'll remember to make that phone call.
Yep.
And so it's little things like that. And it's really just the to-do list, and everybody's got them. There's no, I don't know. I think everybody's always got a lot that they've got on their plate. And so it's probably super relatable.
Yeah.
And it certainly doesn't make me special, but it can feel overwhelming at times. And trying to manage it all successfully myself, that's probably the element of all of that can feel really overwhelming.
Well, and I think it's really important to acknowledge those moments when things are overwhelming and that other people have overwhelming things. It's so important for us to not diminish or compare each other to those moments of like, well, they're dealing with this, so it's not as bad. Like, I can be a little guilty of this at times, of being like, well, at least I'm not dealing with this, so I need to stop, whining about this. And it's really like, I'm getting better. I definitely recognize it more quickly than I used to. But I just want to encourage everyone that's watching, like, don't compare yourself to our stories. Don't compare yourself to each other's stories. We all have a unique path that we're walking. And the purpose of this, again, is to come alongside in support,
It's interesting you bring that up. I've got, this is somewhat related and maybe a tangent, but for those of you who are still getting to know Kelly and I, we do a lot of tangents. So
we do.
We won't apologize for it. It's just who we are.
It's just who we are. Look at that cute dog. No, I'm just kidding.
But something that I've experienced that exact thing with lately is grief. Because I lost my brother in August of last year, and it's amazing to me how many people have said to me in their own way that they didn't want to share what was going on in their life that might be difficult because I was navigating so much. And I found myself consistently saying, hard is hard. I mean, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's no like scale of like, you win the hard race. It just doesn't exist.
It's so true.
And I mean, it could be something you're dealing with at home or with your family or job loss or just things getting overwhelming in life. And hard is hard, and nobody should have to go through that alone. It's not a contest. And quite frankly, it's completely reasonable and possible to hold multiple emotions at one time.
Absolutely.
Like, I can celebrate somebody's joyous occasion and still be grieving. I can walk alongside your overwhelm in moving houses and not take that on and carry that burden. And I can have those same emotions within myself. I can feel overwhelmed and also find like just something that breaks the cycle for a bit.
That's right. Yeah.
Where I feel like I can carve out time and I get a break, and I might do something to just, well, on the topic of our conversation, spark joy in my life, and just kind of recenter myself. And it feels so good when you find those moments.
Yeah, and I don't know if the word permission is the right word, but I think sometimes we struggle, like we get caught in our cycle, you know, of like, I have to.
Yeah.
Breaking that cycle and almost giving ourselves permission to show up and just let our hair down, take a beat to not be on, take a beat to say no to something. That is such important self-care. And I think talking about self-care, it's so funny because I think all the time, especially for women, it's like, oh, I need to go to the spa, or I need to go get my nails done. I'm like, no, self-care doesn't have to cost money. I think self-care is often a state of mind more than anything. And to your point, when we slow down and just look at what's going on and go, what's triggering the overwhelm, truly, how can I take a beat and bring calm to this moment? And maybe realize it's not as important as I thought it was. And for me, permission is the word I choose because I grew up in a very performance-driven
Ooh, me too.
family. And so performance was it. Be a good girl, show up, be on time, do your job, don't complain, like, you know. And the persona had to be, I'm fine, everything's perfect. When real, it's just not ever perfect. And it's,
well, we're human.
And we're so human. And so for me, permission became a word that I chose to use that allowed me to set things down and go, no one else is going to let me off the hook but me. No one else is going to take this from me and fix it for me. Like,
also,
I'm
no one else is holding you to the same standard that you hold yourself to.
Like, if we treated our friends seriously like we treated ourselves, we would have no friends. Like, it's just a true story. Like, we are it's so easy to be hard on ourselves and to have this super high expectation, you know, like, this is how you need to be. So,
I mean, okay, I genuinely refer to myself as a recovering perfectionist because I keep my standards so high.
Same.
I said that to somebody recently and she said, I didn't know that was possible. Let me know how that works out for you. Rude.
So rude. So rude. And I've had people say similar things like, oh, how's that working out for you? And I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, what do you mean? But it's so true. Like, when we hit the reset button, I think sometimes and invite stillness, I think a lot of people are afraid of quiet.
Oh, it can be very uncomfortable to sit with yourself.
But to your point about holding multiple emotions, is it okay to not be okay? Is it okay to sit in a moment where you feel totally like shut down and just overwhelmed and you don't want to show up to the next thing? And then you are able to go, you know what? I'm going to take a beat. I'm going to step away from this thing that's really driving me crazy. And I'm just going to check out for a few minutes.
Actually, it is okay to do that.
Yes.
And it's something I would encourage. I had a moment recently where I did exactly this. I was feeling overwhelmed. I don't know when I had a day off or even taken like an hour to just do something for myself. I mean, truly, it was kind of from morning to night. My days were back to back, and it was probably over a month of this, and I was just starting to feel burnt out, and I was like, I just need a moment. And it wasn't a day I could like take a day off either.
Yeah.
And I ended up, what was it? Okay, I want to say I had two challenges. There was something that I was trying to figure out for our social media content, I'm pretty sure was one of the elements. And I was stumped. And I was like, I'm not feeling very creative at the moment. And also, sometimes new things, especially technology related, like I just don't want to do it.
Sure. I get it.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah.
And then at work, with my other role, I was reaching a standstill where I wasn't finding new talent, that I was for a specific role I was working on. And I was like, you know what? This isn't working for me. I'm going to take a break and I'm going to go for a walk.
Yeah.
And I gave myself 15 minutes and I put my headphones in, which I love a quiet walk, but this, I just needed a distraction. I needed to escape the reality. So I didn't want to be in my head. I wanted something happy. So I put on an audiobook and I started to hear the voice of the narrator and I just started to melt. And the tension starts leaking and I'm like walking and rolling my shoulders, and I gave myself permission to be gentle. I wasn't trying to reach a step goal or mileage or anything. I had already done my workout for the day. And I, after 15 minutes, I felt grounded and relaxed, and I thought, okay, I can do this. I can do both of these things. And it was like I sat down and it was win-win immediately.
Inspired moment.
Truly. I stepped away and it was like whatever inspiration I had been looking for, it finally came, and I knew the steps to take. I solved the issue. I started having candidates reach out to me and respond to my messages, and it felt good. And it was so affirming to know that, or to be reminded of, I mean, I could tell people all day long that you've got to take care of yourself, because if your tank's not full, you have nothing to give.
That's right.
But to take that advice yourself when you feel like you've got that mile-long to-do list, and then, and it can be hard. It can be hard to, like you say, give yourself permission and step away. But oh my gosh, it was instant gratification. It was like within a minute of me sitting back down to focus, and it was so rewarding. And it was like, yes, that was the right thing to do in the moment. And I'm so glad I did that. And I hope that I continue to like teach myself that it's okay.
Well, and that's it. It's interrupting the cycle. It's interrupting I call it the machine washer cycle, right?
Yeah.
Where you're just in the machine.
You're
and
stuck
doing
on the
it,
spin
and you're
cycle.
like, I don't know what to make for dinner. I don't know. I don't feel like it. I don't, and you're the complaining. And this is something I wanted to touch on. How many of us start complaining, right? And it's so easy. It's like it just starts flowing out of us. And then we start looking for more things to complain about.
Well, that's what our focus becomes.
And then all of a sudden, there's 100 things we can complain about. And we're like, oh, and it's like, it's like just being weighed down. And so I think when we clip the complaining and just interrupt the cycle and go, nope, stop everything. This is not working. I don't feel good in my own body. I feel overwhelmed. I feel stirred up. I'm going to go maybe you can't take a walk. I completely understand, especially if you're in a workplace and you're not able to just walk away.
You can actually get up and go to the restroom. Go to the restroom
is what I was going to recommend.
Water.
Get a drink. Take several deep breaths. If you have a stairwell, go up and down the stairs a couple times. Like, interrupt the cycle. And if you're a mama, I'm so sorry if y'all are like, I can't get a breath in edgewise, because I remember the early years of motherhood where you are on 24/7. There's nothing wrong with telling your kids you need a timeout. I used to do this with my kids. I would say, Mommy's going to take a timeout. And they would start crying. Did you get in trouble? And I'm like, no, I'm not in trouble. This is a happy timeout. And they'd be like, did we get in trouble? It's like, no, but over time, I did it several times, in probably in a month. I would just, and then I changed it from timeout to take a break.
Oh, that's good.
And I shifted, and so I had a little spot. It was in my closet. There was 2 doors. I would close my bedroom door, and then I could go into my closet and close my closet door, and I would sit and I would do deep breathing, and it was my time. And I could hear my kids sometimes crying at the door, Mom, are you okay? And it's like, okay, they're fine. They're safe. I cannot be on all the time.
Yeah.
And so whatever your circumstances are, and there's no judgment, that is 100% true.
Yeah.
If you are like, I cannot actually get a minute, if right where you're planted, right where you're sitting, don't be afraid to take some deep breaths and close your eyes and just reset.
Yeah, I
because
mean,
our
you can
bodies
even do that if you're in the middle of a
literally-
meeting,
yeah.
and it's just one of
Yeah.
those techniques that,
That's right.
like, nobody else is going
That's
to know
right.
that you're
You
doing
can
it.
pinch, like, this is a little thing I learned. You can pinch your forefinger and your thumb. You can, like, play with your knuckles. Like, all of this is nervous system regulation stuff. But, you know, we tout a lot of nervous system regulation. You'll hear us start to unpack that the more we are with you and the more we talk about these things. But being able to check in with your nervous system and regulate your nervous system is a critical piece of, I believe, healing and growth.
It's completely changed who I am as a
Me
person.
as well.
Yeah.
And it really has shifted the way that I approach problems, approach life through all of the stress. Like, I can honestly say there was some processing that I needed to do out loud, but there was also a lot of moments where I would just put a meditation in my ear and just turn it on and listen to it over and over until I felt myself calm down. And those, I mean, it was just things like that where you don't always have someone to talk to. We don't always have that opportunity to pick the phone up. So just interrupt the cycle. Don't be afraid to get unstuck.
I want to dive a little deeper into two things you talked about. So one, with just on the topic of nervous system work, I think one of the things that I've observed, and I mean, in the last year, I've had a lot of loss, and that has triggered a lot of healing work for me. And one of the things that I've observed is I find I've spent a lot of time alone and just doing the healing work, which is hard. But when you're doing that internal work, nervous system or other types of healing, but I do recommend starting with the nervous system, there's not a lot to show for it. And I find that I started to get really frustrated when I would see people that I hadn't seen in a little while. And our society is so groomed to say, what's new with you? What's going on with you? And when you do work internally, your external world doesn't immediately start to change.
That's right.
It does start to eventually, and there's really good rewards that come from that. But in the immediate time that you're kind of in the work and just coming out of doing the work, I think it's really, really hard to have people look at you like, well, I know that you said you were doing XYZ. How is that going? But like, how many people actually sit there and talk about, I'm doing nervous system work, or I'm working on healing my traumas, or, I mean, people will say, I'm in therapy. I mean, you hear people say that now. That's becoming more. Yeah. But I think that's one of the great things about our community is people have leaned into the work or are at various stages. I don't think the work ever really stops. I think that's one of the things that the community helps with and friendships help with. So I want to just take a moment to acknowledge that, like, sometimes it's hard and we see you and we're in it too. Yeah. What I wanted to circle back to is you talked about the negativity and the complaining, and quite frankly, the bitching and moaning can be very difficult to interrupt. So I know how I break this myself. I want to know though how you break it, or I can share and then you share.
We can chat about it. Yeah, breaking the cycle of negativity. And I think this is such an important piece of sparking joy. Yeah. Because it's not necessarily a direct correlation. No. You're not necessarily going, oh, I need to find joy, so I'm going to break my negativity cycle. Like, it's not a natural pathway, but I do think that's such an important point leading to joy, because for me, it's typically noticing a pattern or having someone point out my pattern, which is really like tricky sometimes to still have someone have to be like, hey, it's just been a lot of negativity coming out of you lately. Like, I know. What's going on?
Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
And that I've learned, and it's so funny, again, on nervous system, work, I've learned not to react to that question like I used to. It immediately used to send me into failure mode. Like, oh, I missed it. Performance, right? I didn't do it right. I missed the mark. I should have, don't should on yourselves. You do love that. That's my big saying, right? Don't ever should on yourself. And it is something I've learned in my healing work over the years, but that's one way. And then I can honestly say, now that I'm deeper into my nervous system work, I feel it energetically in my body when I'm being negative, and I can tell it's little things. Like I'll go to the grocery store and I'm picking something apart or things start to get to me a lot quicker. And I've gotten a lot better about looking in the mirror and going, hang on a minute, when was the last time you showed up with gratitude?
Yep.
When was the last time you paid a compliment to someone, or you celebrated someone else, or you got outside of your own little realm of me? Those are my two go-tos right now.
I tend to go to gratitude also. I think I naturally am an optimistic person, and I'm pretty self-aware when I'm grumpy, and I'll articulate, I'm having an off day today.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, but I find that I will pause in the moment, and I might be just really having a moment of frustration or where I want to gripe about something, and I find that I will typically look for something to be grateful for. It could be looking out the so my house backs to a big open field. It could be taking a minute to look out there and look for wildlife and just trying to appreciate it. It could be literally sitting in a room in my house, looking around going, gosh, I'm so grateful that I have such a comfortable couch and such a beautiful light fixture. And oh my gosh, the kitchen and the appliances that I have, like I'll just try to find things in my vicinity that I feel grateful for. Or a lot of people get triggered over money, and I know we're going to talk about this more next month, but sometimes I can even feel overwhelmed when I'm working on paying bills or something, and I will find myself sitting there saying, thank you, I'm so grateful that I've been trusted to circulate this money, because it's all energy. And so those are some of the small wins of how I can break the negative thought process for myself. And it really helps to have a buddy, because I can be vulnerable with you about it. And you're my safe space. I can talk to you and I know that you won't judge me, even if I share the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if I'm struggling to find my light at the end of the tunnel with something, you always help me see something. And I so appreciate that with you.
We do that for each other.
We do.
Very much. Well, and I want to quickly touch on this, because it's not always a situation where you're looking around and you're surrounded by something that you're grateful for.
No.
Marriage, for example. Marriage is hard.
It is hard.
Family is hard.
I'm divorced.
I'm still married, and I'm grateful for that. It is not easy, ever.
Yeah.
It is work every day, and my husband would say the same thing. It is work every day, and raising kids is hard, and it's work every day, investment every day, and we're not over here saying you're never going to get your feelings hurt, and you need to find something to be, to celebrate. That's not what we're talking about in this moment. And I want to be very clear about that. Sometimes life is heavy.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's dark. And sometimes you just need somebody to come alongside you so that you can have a good cry. That's not what we're talking about. I think it's more a systematic thing where you see patterns in yourself where it's okay, 10 years ago when I was going through something similar, I reacted in a very similar way. And I don't like that in myself. I would like to choose to interrupt this cycle. I don't have to live this way anymore. That's the work that we're doing and that we've been experimenting with. And it's so life-altering and so powerful to be able to interrupt a pattern and go, it didn't change that this situation wasn't easy, or that this was difficult, or that this was grief-filled, or that something
it can be really heavy.
It can be
sometimes.
so heavy. But, and I keep saying but, I should be saying and, because it's that holding the space for both again. We want to be able to feel safe no matter what's going on around us, we want to be able to find those moments of safety and to reconnect not only with ourselves, but with others. And I think that's another reason why we really wanted to start this community, is because I haven't always had this connection. I haven't always had this life where I'm understood and I have a safe space to call myself out and be like, so I did a thing that I'm not very proud of today, and I need you to listen for a minute because I'm not okay, but I'm also open to your feedback because I trust you.
Yeah.
That's what we really want to build here and what we're inviting you guys into. And so it's a sacred space, and we're really excited, truly excited to be able to start building this for sure. I would love to kind of move a little more into the joy piece of our conversation, because we've been talking about hard things. We've been talking about breaking patterns. Life happens. Life gets heavy. Life is overwhelming. I think we can stay there, right? It's really easy to kind of just talk about.
So it's interesting. One of the things that was mind-blowing to me when I was going through my divorce, and like, I had been very unhappy in my marriage for a long time, and I didn't realize how bad it had gotten. I also didn't realize that I became incapable of feeling the good things because I was suppressing all the bad things. And so I think we have to start there. We have to acknowledge that it's really important to give ourselves space to learn how to feel emotions again if we've been in that cycle. It took me a long time to learn how to check back in with myself and go, wait, am I saying yes to this because I want to, or because it's an obligation? And like, what do I actually enjoy doing? And what are the things that make me happy or give me, my favorite, a big belly laugh? I mean, I had to reteach myself all of those things. And if anybody wants it, we could certainly do a talk on this later. But it's also possible that everybody here has done their own inner work on learning how to feel emotions. But I just think it's important to acknowledge that we have to be able to feel the spectrum of emotions if we're going to be able to feel joy. And so I don't know. I have a lot of little things that I do on a daily basis that bring me joy. And they're not, I've kind of been thinking through like, well, what is something really attainable that I could feel or that I could talk about? But maybe before we even talk about the activity that gets us there, like, I think it could be valuable to share what joy feels like in our bodies.
Oh yeah, that's nice. I'm like, that just makes me feel good right now. I'm like, absolutely.
Gosh, for me, I feel like this openness in my chest, and I feel the weight lift off my shoulders, and I feel like I just gain this glow. Like, if I look at myself in the mirror, I can't stop smiling. And it feels like light and tingly, and sometimes it's full body chills. Like, and sometimes it's much quieter than that. Sometimes it's like I can breathe. I mean, truly, it can be kind of the range of things depending on what I'm navigating and what's helping pull me out of a moment. I'm so curious what you think.
Yeah, similar. I also get the openness in my chest. I often will get butterflies. Like, I'll just feel that like excited, like anticipation almost, like something big's about to happen or something good is happening. Release for sure as well. Like, just that, oh, this is awesome. You know, like a big sigh of relief, just being present. My biggest my biggest tip off, that's the word. Sorry. Like, we can talk about my biggest triggers, but I don't think anyone wants to sit in on that conversation.
I think we're working to heal those.
We'll figure that out later. But one of my biggest tip-offs to experiencing my emotions is typically when I find myself like giggling at things. Like, if I'm like, even on Instagram, I recently saw this ridiculous video of baby goats just like running and like kicking their little back legs up, and there's this silly music playing, and I just belly laughed out loud, like right in that moment. And it was just, it's almost like you don't have to think about it. You just are in that moment. Yeah. That's how mine shows up a lot too, where I can feel it, and I'm like, you know, in a little mood or whatever, and then I'm like, I need to shake this off. Like, I need to do something silly. And then it's
and it takes what, 30 seconds to watch a video like that?
And then, or music, of course, will do it for me.
Yeah.
I mean, if we want to just talk about that really quick, like, what is something, and we would love to hear from you guys in the comments too, like, what is something that shakes it off for you and helps you get either out of a moment that's a funk, or out of something that maybe like stunned you or startled you, something where it's like taking you out, and then you're like reclaiming your joy, and it's like, if I do this, I will be instantly feeling better. What are yours?
Oh my gosh. I do actually have kind of a long list since I've been thinking about it. Okay. I think baby animals of many kinds are funny. I tend to gravitate towards cats and dogs. They don't have to be babies. Just the personalities. I love animals.
I do too.
Also babies, like there's a ton of videos out there where people have put together compilations of babies like doing something funny or laughing, and just like big belly laughs from babies always crack
cute.
me up.
That's sweet.
I can say, like, if I flash back to some musical favorites of mine, I mean, I love classical music. I've grown up with it, and that is always very grounding for me. Yeah. And I mean, I grew up playing music, but I also love to sing, not the way you do. I don't perform. I mean, you're good. I like to sing.
That's really nice.
In the privacy of my own house or my car or whatever. Like
I'm a choral performer.
Yeah. No, but you have a great voice.
I do love to sing.
And but I love to go back to like things that make me want to dance, or like I love Pink. I love Enrique Iglesias. God, I haven't listened to his music in forever. I used to work out to his music, so there's something about like
it's good.
It just kind of gets me in the mood.
Going. Yeah.
And then I also really love like little snippets of people covering songs, especially if there's like if I find a video that happens to be like multiple people playing one guitar and like using non-instrument devices to make music together. Cool. Like it's really fun, and I just get blown away by other people's talent. All of these things help pull me out of a funk.
Yeah. It's so funny. I'll tell on myself. 90s rap will do this for me.
Yeah.
Like, get me going. I'll just start singing, and then I'm just instantly like, okay, I'm in a better mood, you know?
And you've actually gotten your kids on board with this.
I sure have. My kids love all kinds of music. It's more because of their dad that they love all kinds of music. And I mean all, except classical, which is so sad. But like I recently, and this is a shout out to a new favorite. His name's Bailey Pickles. Check him out on Instagram. He is incredible. He shared a video recently on his Instagram where he's showing this riff on the piano and he's playing it. I think I watched it like 30 times. It moved my soul like on such like it felt like I was home, and I just could not. And he was so excited to share it. He was like, now listen to this, and then you add this, and he's like, oh, and he got all excited.
I love
and
that.
I was just like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah.
And I felt that swell of joy and pride, like on his behalf, even of like he has a perfect pitch ear. He's just doing what he's been gifted to do. And it's so beautiful, and it's so incredible.
Isn't that fun how joy can actually be contagious?
Very contagious. Yeah. And I was just going to say that I get very touched by other people's joy.
Yeah.
Like, do y'all remember the lady? This is so random. The lady in the Chewbacca mask?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that went really viral. I knew about it from you. It is so freaking hilarious.
So funny. And that woman's joy, like her kids got scholarships to college, and like Hasbro donated toys, like thousands of dollars of toys. Her joy was so infectious, and she was just laughing her head off. And I watched that video 100 times, and I will go back to that if I need a good laugh.
Yeah.
And just enter that moment with her of like, She was
You
vulnerable.
liked it so much you bought a Chewbacca
I-
mask for your office.
We actually bought two because my office manager needed one, and we would literally bring the masks to work.
Yeah, that was
and we
so
would just
funny.
wear them, and this is what I'm talking about: the silliness and
Yeah.
the willingness to be vulnerable and to be seen.
Yeah.
And I think being seen for all of our range of emotions is a lot harder. Especially in our
Absolutely.
culture, right? It's like again, going back to performance, it's like, you have it together, right? Like, you're fine, right? And then it's like, we want to see the good. We don't want to really see the bad. But if someone's struggling, no one wants to come alongside you and be like, hey, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Tell me what's going on. And also, like, let me, like, pour into you a
Yeah.
little bit, you know?
Oh, it's just become ingrained in our society. You go somewhere, let's use the grocery store. You go
Absolutely.
and check out and they say, how
How
are
are
you
you?
today? Everybody's
I'm
default
fine.
is, I'm fine, I'm good.
I actually told a grocer one time, this is a true story.
Tell me.
I was having a really tough day, and I walk into the line, and she's like, hi, how are you today? And I looked at her in the eyes, and I said, I'm actually having a pretty tough day today. And she looked at me and was like dumbfounded.
She didn't know what
She
to do
didn't
with
even
it?
know what to say. And then she's like, she
Aw.
finally was like, I'm so sorry. I've never had anyone be honest with me before.
Oh.
And I was like, oh. And she's like, I hope your day gets better. And it was really kind. But I'm like, not that, and again, it's not that everyone is safe to see us or that
Right.
we need to be seen by everyone. I'm not saying go post your story on Facebook,
Lord knows I don't want to do that.
3,700
Yeah.
paragraphs long, and you're like, what? Why did you talk about that? We don't want to read that. But in the safety of your inner circle and in your close, safe circles, don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Don't
Yeah.
be afraid to be seen. Don't be afraid to ask for someone to come alongside you when things are hard. And don't be afraid to laugh together and
Yeah.
be stupid together. And I cannot tell you, throughout a workday between the two of us, the amount of belly laughing and ridiculous that happens is so life-giving.
Agreed.
I literally say this so much. I'm like, I can't believe this is like a work day.
Right.
It does not feel
It's
like
so
work.
fun.
And we're conspiring and building and dreaming and all the things of like, what are we going to do, and then something silly will be said and we're just both in stitches, and it's just beautiful.
And we're dorky about it.
Super
and
dorky.
no
The
shame
puns,
in our
there's
game.
no shame in puns.
Oh my gosh, I
making-
love dad jokes.
Same!
That's something that makes me
Same.
a big
We'll
belly
do a
laugh.
whole segment, I think, on dog jokes. It's
Oh
totally
my
valid. Oh my
gosh.
gosh, it's so true. I think we can kind of touch on this. We did a little bit, but I think sometimes, even to what we were just talking about, maybe we set the bar a little too high on our expectation of how to create joy or how to create
Yeah.
space for joy, right? It's like, I need to set aside time for joy. It's like,
Yeah.
well, no, we don't want to do that.
No, we want to just pattern interrupt.
We just
and it
want to
could
pattern
take
interrupt.
a moment.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. And I just wanted to highlight that because it's not another thing to do. It's
Yeah.
not meant to be pressure. It's not meant to be, add a thing to your list of to-dos.
Yeah.
It's really, truly meant to just check in, be a little bit self-aware, and go like, when was the last time I laughed?
Yeah.
When was the last time I took a moment to breathe? I don't remember. I should probably do that.
Yeah.
You
and
know?
and I guess it's really important to just acknowledge that we're not perfect at this. I
Yeah.
mean, we're talking about it because it's something we're consciously working on
Mhm.
ourselves.
That's right.
We don't have it all figured out, and we definitely make mistakes, and we find ourselves helping each other pattern interrupt too when needed.
That's right. Yeah.
But I think something that works really well for us is we figured out that we just need to reach out when we're feeling like we're struggling.
That's
and
right.
we need to be vulnerable with one another and not just internalize it.
Yeah.
And not shut down.
That's right.
And I think those are probably a couple of the big lessons that we've learned. But we're very much in it.
Yeah, we're still figuring it out. I mean, the things that I feel like you and I have learned even over the last year
Yeah.
in tandem have just been so incredibly life-changing,
Yeah.
first of all. But even in the practice of it, there's still those moments where you're like, I know better than to go down this path. And then you still choose to go down the path. And you, like, on the back end, you're like, that didn't
I learned
feel-
that lesson already.
didn't-
I say that to
I
myself
say that too.
sometimes.
And I'm like, that didn't doesn't feel great. Like, why am I still trying that on? You know, it's like trying on the wrong shoe on the wrong foot or something. And you're like, maybe just one more time.
Yeah. Just in case.
Maybe it'll fit this time.
Isn't that the definition of insanity?
And it's like,
trying the same
no,
thing.
girl, it still doesn't, you know, it's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is there anything else aside from kind of circling back to just clarifying? We're not saying this like, we're not trying to add a to-do list item. We're just trying to pattern interrupt. Is there anything else that you want our members to walk away with from this conversation?
I really want everyone to feel encouraged to just keep going.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you're at a point where you have to give up. And if you are, I would definitely say there's resources. Don't be afraid to use those resources. You know, there's definitely support out there. If it's a financial constraint, DM us. We can help find some resources. We're not professional therapists, so we're not going to be able to take, you know, responsibility for the outcomes of those recommendations, but we're definitely here to brainstorm if you're stuck in a spot where you're just like, I don't have financial resources. I can't really start therapy or sign up for a program. I don't know where to start. We do have some free resources that we're happy to share, and maybe that's something we can just share, you know, along the way as we keep going on our social media as well. But I really want you guys to feel encouraged to look for joy. And you touched on this earlier, and I think it's really important that we just kind of, you know, circle back to it and put an end cap on it, because you said earlier about being in a place where you're looking for the negative, you see it. You know, what we look for is what we find.
Truly.
And so I think in that vein, like, if there's one thing to take away from this evening, it's really important to me that you guys are looking for opportunities to find joy. Yeah. I didn't mention this earlier, but it's now coming to mind. Like, generosity is one way that if you're able to find ways to be generous, even if and maybe it's not financial, again, maybe it's time, maybe it's picking up the phone and having a conversation with someone you care about that you haven't touched base with in a long time, or carving out time like that.
It could be leaving a positive review for somebody.
Exactly.
I mean, there's a lot of ways
that
can kind of move that energy in a positive direction.
In a positive way. Yeah. And I think if you're feeling stuck, generosity is also a really great place to start. Like, I've definitely had those moments where I'll just pay for someone's coffee in line, you know, behind me at Starbucks or something. And it's so sweet to see that the cashier is always like, oh, really? That's so nice, you know? And it's just that sweet little touch of affirmation as well. And it's not that we're doing it for affirmation, but again, it's just looking for opportunities to interrupt the cycle. And I think that's really what I would say the spark is, if we were to name it, of any of this, is don't be afraid to look in the mirror and recognize something that, you know, in yourself that you're like, oh, that doesn't need to stay. Be willing to interrupt the cycle, and don't feel like you have to do it alone. Those would be like my...
That's such a good summary. I wouldn't even add anything different to that.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Of course, we want to give everyone time to process this, whether you're live or whether you are rewatching. Take a moment to pause and process. How does this make you feel? What's your gut reaction? What's happening in your body? Do you feel that?
Where do you feel it in your body?
Do you feel resistant? Do you feel that, like, almost sense of, like, excitement? Like, oh, I want that. Or is there, like, reticence where it's like, oh, but this is so heavy. I don't know where to start. Find out that story too. Don't be afraid to pause and look inward and, like, kind of shake things up a little bit. Almost like a snow globe. You know, when everything settles to the bottom, nothing's happening. It's not that pretty. It's just kind of like there. But when you shake it up, all of a sudden this magic comes alive. And you're able to see what's going on. Don't be afraid to shake it up. I think that would be
such a pretty analogy.
Oh, thanks. I love snow globes secretly.
Me too.
Maybe not so secretly, but yeah, I would just say take that time to reflect. We're starting a journaling journey. We've had one journaling post prompt this past week, and we'll probably start posting those weekly.
Those are on social media.
Yes.
Our blog posts also have some journaling prompts in them.
And journaling is such a safe way to just get it all out. You know, and there's no requirement. It's like you can just pick pink, different colored pens. I prefer lots of different colored pens.
I literally pick a pen daily based on how I'm feeling that
fun.
moment.
But if you like a black pen, no judgment.
Yeah. Black is very powerful, and sometimes I write in black.
I'm a ballpoint pen girl. I love a good ballpoint, like our Parallel Journeys pens.
Yeah.
They're my favorite kind of pen.
Yeah.
They write so smoothly. Sorry, tangent. But yeah, that's what I would say is don't be afraid to shake it up. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. If you have something that comes to mind, don't be afraid to take that inspired action.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that we have learned is inspired action is this quick. It's just like Mariah took a moment and got up out of what was kind of holding her back, and she just took a quick break and walked around and got her body moving and instantly came back to inspired action. And I've had many things like that happening over the past few weeks as well, where it's like, I am stuck. I'm going to go take a break. I'm going to jump up and down and sing and do something ridiculous, put in an audiobook, interrupt the cycle, just be willing to try it.
Yeah. Well, and it truly results in miracles landing for us.
Yeah, I agree. We are really excited. This is not like a one and done. Like, we're going to be hosting these events monthly. We'll be announcing the topics for the online events at the beginning of each month.
Yes.
Each month we're going to be hosting different themes. So this month is on wonder in nature. That's the theme for the month. So all the social media posts are kind of tying into that. Next month we're touching on money and kind of talking about unpacking that whole aspect of abundance and kind of digging into that. And so we'll be launching those topics. Our next event will be...
Well, and truly with this part of our community and this kind of sacred circle we're building with our members, we have a long list of topics that are potentially a little taboo to talk about in society. But they can feel safe to talk about when you've got good friends. And so our goal is to normalize some of that and destigmatize talking about some of that. And so we will be changing up themes. We're always open to suggestions. We're not experts in many things.
That's right.
We've done a lot of learning ourselves, and we will continue to do so. We will sometimes bring in guest speakers. Sometimes we will host calls ourselves. Sometimes community members will host calls. And that's one of the beauties, the beautiful things of having a community is we can share resources and knowledge and expertise and experiences with one another and learn from and help develop one another.
I agree. Yes, and just a heartfelt thank you again for being here with us. We really appreciate the time and you taking time to be here, and we for sure want to hear from you. If you have any reflections, anything that you would love to share with us, we are here to share that with you. So thanks again. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your wherever you are.
Your evening, your day, whatever time of day it is for you.
Month, whatever it is.
And thank you again for taking the time to spend with us.
Yes.